welcome to Homemaker Living. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Teresa, and my husband and I moved to this property. It's a 1-acre lot, and the only existing structure on the lot was the home, as well as it was all fenced in. And there was a big play set that sat here smack middle in where my garden is now. In that first year, my husband built the potting shed slash greenhouse. I use it for starting my starts in the spring. And then we put in this good sized garden on roughly a 1/4 acre of the property. I do have quite a few raised beds. To date, I have 37 in various forms, mostly 3 by 10. And then I do have a number that are a little bit bigger than that and some that are smaller, as well as a cold frame, some older antique beds that we made into flower beds, and then I have some big round metal raised beds. Why don't we go ahead and get into it, take a look and see how things are progressing. It's a hot one today. It's already approaching 90. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this whole tour today. I'm going to try, and I'm trying to be concise and quick so that the video isn't too long. So why don't I start real quick and just show you my berry patches. So strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. I just did a video on that, berry update, and I don't want to leave it out of this video, but I also don't want to spend a lot of time on it since I just did that video. So let's take a quick look at those, and then we'll move on. Here are the 2 strawberry patches. I have a total of 53 or 54 plants between the 2. I harvest every other day and get probably about 7 to 8 cups each day. I expect that it will slow down soon, but the plants are doing really good. They're really healthy. I've had a little bit of pest pressure in here, but not too bad. And as you can see, I've got lots of berries still on the vine waiting to ripen for my harvest in the next couple of days. One of the things I'll point out is I did go ahead and use straw again in the beds as a mulch cover. I had said in a previous video that I wouldn't do that because of all the weeds I had from the last straw that I used, but I did see on someone's video that they used one called, I think it was called Easy Straw, that she said she's had good results with. Very little weed pressure. I think it says like 99% weed free, and very, very pleased with it. I will buy it again. All right, let's take a look at the raspberries. And the raspberries are growing like weeds. Here's just a real quick look at this trellis system we put in with the T-post and this wire grid system that runs through it on 4 different levels to help hold those raspberries up. Like I said in my last video, I did go over that a little bit more in detail, but in a previous video to that one, we actually showed how we put that up. So they're all growing up in their nice grid system here, and it looks like these are starting to flower. On this one right here, I've got some buds starting. So I'm expecting to have a really good crop from these this year. I have probably triple the plants that I had last year, and last year was a good season too. So I'm expecting even more this season. This is one of my potato beds. They are looking a little bleak right now, but they had been looking amazing, standing up tall and green and lush and full like a little forest. And then we had some triple digit temperatures unseasonably early July, and it really did a number on them. Some of them have already died back, others are still hanging on. So I've got russets right here, and as you can see, some of them aren't doing as well as others. And then I've got these purple potatoes, which my sister-in-law gave me the seeds to these, and they are really taking the heat well, as opposed to the gold Yukon type potatoes I have at the end here. Those have really suffered. Moving on to the brassicas. This first one is the broccoli bed, and I've already harvested 2 heads that were really good size off of 2 of the middle plants. And then this plant hasn't developed a head yet, either have these 2. And it's most likely because these 2 that I've harvested remained in the bed the entire time since they were planted. Everything else was being attacked by ants, and they were killing all of the plants. And so I took them all out, repotted them back up, left them in the garden shed until I could eradicate those ants, which I did, and then replanted them. So they're a little bit behind, which is fine because I didn't want my broccoli all ready at the same time. Now here is the cauliflower bed. Well, it's supposed to be a cauliflower bed. And here you can see through the netting that I have 1 cauliflower. It's my very first cauliflower that I've ever successfully grown. So I'm excited about that. And then these next 2 are cauliflower as well, but I don't really see any heads in them growing yet. So we'll see what happens with those. But these next 2 plants were supposed to be cauliflower as well, but when I took everything out because of the ants, I mislabeled them, and these happen to be a green torpedo type cabbage. And so the people that I gave cabbage to, which is my neighbor and my sister, ended up most likely getting cauliflower. A Miko cabbage, Napa cabbage here, which I've already harvested. And then here is supposed to be my cabbage bed, which it is a cabbage bed, just those others are in the wrong bed. So here's that Amico cabbage that gets quite large, and you can see the plant is very large, and the head, which is what you obviously harvest for, is still not formed yet. So moving on, it looks like I have another torpedo cabbage here, and then some regular green cabbages here, and then here's a really good one too. In fact, I just ran out of cabbage in the house, so I have to pull one. Look at this baby. Can you see that? Look at how big this guy is. Look at him. Look at how beautiful he is. Ah, it's our first cabbage. Look at it. Look at that beautiful head of cabbage. I would have to say that that's the largest one I've grown. I think it's as big as my head. And then we move into the red cabbage. And gosh, I've just got some really great heads of cabbage that I'm excited about harvesting. So pull out probably this one, it's the biggest. And then I have a couple back there that I had replanted after that ant fiasco. So they're a little bit behind. But all in all, I am not mad about my cabbage now. I'm happy with it ever since I got rid of the whole ant thing. This year I grew 2 types of Nantes carrots. On this side I grew Territorial Seeds Nagovia, and on this side I grew M.I. Gardner's Scarlet. I just wanted to do a test to see how the Nantes variety would compare. I've grown the Nagovia before last year, a couple years I think, and we really loved these carrots. So good, crisp, sweet, stored for a good long time in the fridge over winter. So again, like I said, I wanted to do a test. And so far, I'm still loving these the best. I've done a taste test on the thinning carrots that I've harvested. These are the Nantes. They're both Nantes variety. These are from M.I. Gardner, the Scarlet. And these are Territorial Seed Nagovia. And I can already see a comparison between the two. The Nagovia are much brighter and bigger than the Scarlet. I went ahead and did a taste test of them as well these are much bitter. I tasted these first and I just assumed that they were small and early carrots, so they're just going to maybe have a bitter flavor. But when I tasted these are much sweeter. So partway through the season, I've already got some results of so far which one I like best. Of course, that could change as the season goes on, but right now, these are a winner for me. And these still stack up, in my opinion, the best eating carrots. So I definitely will grow these again. Now we'll move on to my sweet potato bed. So we put this bed frame in. My husband built this box around it. I mentioned it in a previous video. And I hadn't planted this sweet potatoes yet because it still was too cold. And then they weren't quite ready in the house. I grew the slips from some potatoes in the house. And then when it was ready to go out, then we had super hot temps. And so I had to have it covered with a shade cloth for a couple of weeks. But they took off. They're doing well. I just don't know if they're going to provide tubers before the end of the season. I think we probably only have about 60 days left before our potential first frost mid-October. So we'll see. It is my first year to grow these, so if anything, I'll learn from this process. And then, you know, I went ahead and stuck a few zinnias in here at the headboard, thinking that they would get quite large and cover that headboard up. But it's so amazing to me that 3 plants, exactly the same seed packet, same soil, fed the same, watered the same, and then I have like the 3 bears, the papa bear, the mama bear, and the baby bear. Again, bewilderment to me. I mean, obviously, some seeds are more vigorous than others, but that's just kind of interesting. Oh, here is the watermelon. I'd grown some Thai basil as a deterrent for the squash bug. So we'll see if that works. But I thinned them out. They were crazy. They were going everywhere. And I'd watched some videos about the best way to grow the fruit, not have too many vines. So I thinned them all out. I have 2 plants here in this one mound, and then 1 plant in that mound and 1 over here. And they're just starting to flower. And I actually have a little baby watermelon starting here. They're called Mini Love, and they'll be small. So hopefully in about, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks, we'll have something we can harvest. And then over here, I have 2 moderately sized watermelons. And then I'll probably have to prune this branch off so that it can put most of its energy on this branch to grow those 2. But right now, those are really the only 3 watermelons I have. Then over here, I put in the cantaloupe and also thinned these out. I have a couple little cantaloupes that have started, and these are honey rock. They're supposed to have a short season as well. There's another little one starting there. But for what's left of the season, here I was trying to pollinate them myself. But we do have a lot of bees. But for what we have left of the season, gosh, I don't know. It's a little disappointing because we enjoyed so many cantaloupe last year, but hopefully we'll get some. I've never grown this variety, but it's supposed to have a short growing season. Here, let me show you the other ones that I have grown. And these are the ones we got all of the melons from last year, Minnesota Midget. Probably should have just stuck with what I know. So we have them growing here. I have 1 growing up the trellis here. Again, I thinned it out to 3 vines. Then I have 1 Minnesota Midget growing up here. And oh yeah, there's some fruit on it. Oh yeah, look. And here's another one. Look at that. Oh, I'm so excited. Look at that. Yeah, I should definitely have some fruit by the end of the season. And then I had an extra honey rock that germinated over there, so I moved it in here. And yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see what that one does. And I went ahead and had grown some seedlings of this Thai basil and put it around the melons to try to ward off the squash bugs. And I didn't really have too many on my melons last year, but you know, if you're going to pick and choose what crops you love the most and you want to do really well, melons are one of them. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the squash trellis. They're doing really well. They just really exploded. Let me show you some of the fruit that's growing. Right here, this is called Winter Luxury, and I've got a watermelon right there. And let's see. Oh, look at this guy. And I've got one right there. And then on here is all my butternut squash on both sides, this side and this side. And they're growing good, but no sign of any fruit yet. That happened to me last year too. So I have hit them with some liquid fertilizer. So I'm hoping that they'll soon start flowering. And then I've already harvested 4 zucchini, but I put my zucchini in this cage. I don't know if it's going to work or not, to try to grow upright to keep it off the ground. And then this is one that I mentioned in that last video when I did this mounding video of the pumpkins that grow. This is called Neon Jack, and they grow out of the gate bright yellow. Yeah, they're so beautiful to start with. They just grow bright green, or excuse me, bright yellow. And I think I have some over here too. Yeah, look. And that's a Neon Jack, and next to it is Winter Luxury. That one has vine from all the way over there. So again, this bed is the exact same image of that bed. So I have Winter Luxury pumpkins here. I have Neon Jack on this side. I have the zucchini plant here, which I have already harvested, I think 3 zucchini from, so I don't see any new ones in there. And then on the trellises on this end, opposite the butternut squash, I have the sugar pie pumpkins. And I have some growing. Oh, here we got one hanging here. And I've got one here. Oh, here's another one. That's a good size one. So at some point, we're going to have to cradle those with some netting so that the vines don't break. But yeah, so I'm always happy with my squash trellis. It always looks so good. All right, what should we look at next? Let's look at onions. I didn't plant them on camera, but I'm always so excited about my onions. So we'll start with the bed that looks the best right now because they haven't fallen over yet. But these are, I have 2 varieties in here. They're both a storage onion, Talon and Cortland. And I don't plant them very deep so that the bulbs can grow freely, but I did spoon them about 3 weeks ago or so. I mean, look at the difference, all planted the same time, treated the same way, but this one's small, that one's big, and then that one's quite large. So these will be time to harvest when all the necks break over and they fall over like this bed. So in this bed was looking really good. Everything was standing tall and proud, just like that bed. And then we got a windstorm. So the necks must have been a little bit weak and they broke. But that's okay because look how large these red onions are. I need to get these harvested. I planted, I think, just a third of the bed with the red onions. And they're all looking really good. And then on this side, I put in Walla Walla. We've already harvested a number of Walla Walla. And look how large these get. Oh, this one's split and has 2 in there. Sent some home with family. We've harvested for meals. And so it's time to get some of these out of the ground that are too large and that have, oh, here's one with a broken neck. Yeah, get these out of here. But always happy with our onion harvest. And then lastly in this bed, I have leeks. I grew a lot less leeks this year than I did last year. I think maybe about 12. Yeah, maybe about 12. And we use them in some different meals, but predominantly in leek soup, potato leek soup. And I still have some in the freezer from last year, so I didn't really need that many. So I think this video is already getting a little too long. So real quick, I'll just give you a quick look at my asparagus. Of course, it's only its 2nd year. So we let it all grow up and fern out, and then it will put all that energy into the crown, and perhaps next year we'll be able to harvest a little bit. Here are a couple new guys just popping up here. So we just let them keep growing, and so hopefully next year we can harvest some and enjoy that. And then I have a few grapes growing. So this is a second year grape. It's a red grape. So that one is growing very well. The one I had here this winter died. It was a green grape. And then here I planted two new, well, it's the same variety, grapes. And they're growing really good on both sides. But from what I understand, grapes grow fruit on second year wood. This is first year wood. And sometimes they take 2 to 3 years before they produce. Lastly, I guess perhaps the cucumbers. They're growing really good. I went ahead and actually did prune them. So I pruned out a lot of the runners. Again, we don't eat a ton of cucumbers. This is the variety Jabai that my daughter-in-law gave me. This is my pickling. And then I grew, these are munching, just a regular cucumber. And these are the Armenian cucumbers, which I'll throw a picture in here of what that fruit looks like. I think the last thing I have that I haven't really, oh yeah, I do. I have 3 more beds over here. Real quick, I have I have beans. So here I grew pinto beans. I could have swore the package said that they were a bush variety, so I put them over here instead of on a trellis. Turns out they look like they're vining to me. So my husband threw these little poles up in here for me, and you can see they're trailing up them. So these will just grow and dry on the vine, and then I can harvest them and see what kind of volume I get from that. Then I have some green beans that are supposed to like the heat, but they're just not really producing. And then I'm growing, new to me this year, rattlesnake green beans. Apparently they're supposed to do really well in the heat. And so they're growing up this little metal trellis we have, and they're doing good. They're starting to flower, so I should get some beans soon, I would suspect. And then here are my peppers. So I'm not going to uncover them, but I have 6 bell peppers, 2 red, 2 orange, and 2 yellow on this end. These 2 here, side by side, are my husband's jalapenos. And then here I have 2 sweet, those like little sweetie peppers that you can buy in bags at the store. And then those 3 are grilling peppers. And I think they have some, yeah, look, they have some peppers on them now. So I don't know what my husband's going to do with them, but they're performing very well. And then I guess lastly, we have my husband's little tomato bed. So these 2 plants are called Gold Nugget. And he is not, like I said, a huge tomato fan, but he likes these. And he will use these often in his pico de gallo that he makes. So, oh, oops, I guess he's ready. I actually love these too, but tomatoes have not been agreeing with me lately. So unfortunately, I'm not really getting to enjoy them. So we have 2 gold in there. Somehow I got aroma in here. I thought it was a gold. And then he has 2 tomatillo plants that he just said this morning started getting some fruit on them. And so I think last year he made salsa verde from these plants. And I didn't get any cages on them. You know, time gets away from you, and before you know it, they're too large. And so he made some trellises for them that he's got them tied up to, and they're holding up nicely. And then again, these are my blackberry trellis that I just featured on my last video. So if you want to hear about that and how I prune those and grow those, maybe go take a peek at that video, because I think it's quite informative as far as the best way to get the most fruit that you can, at least in my experience. Well, this video ended up being a little bit more lengthy than I initially expected it to be. I tried to squeeze it all in, so I think it stretched it out quite a bit. If you've been here that long, go ahead and maybe think about hitting that like button because you stuck around for one reason or another. And perhaps maybe subscribe to the channel so you can follow me on the rest of my journey this season as we continue to watch things grow and harvest. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.